right. Good morning. Happy Sunday morning. Fabulous Sonder fam. I'm glad you enjoyed that song. I just think it's a very fun version of Oh, What a Beautiful Morning. Gotta love Ray Charles. I love his music. So I thought that would be a fun one to start this Sunday morning, getting ready for our upcoming week, getting ready to do our weekly setup. So welcome. Thank you for being here. My name is Maya, if I haven't met you yet. And I am in Aurora, Colorado, where it got cold for a few days, like it was supposed to be actually in January, but it's warming up. So I think today is supposed to be in the 50s, which, you know what, I'm fine with. I was a little grumpy during the holidays that it was so warm, but I'm like, that's okay. Now it can be warm because all the Christmas lights and all the pretty twinkle lights are going down. And it's like, oh, darn. Um, so anyway, I don't know. I think I saw there were maybe some new folks here. Is this their like first Silk and Sonder Social? Maybe you're new to the journal, or maybe you're just new to coming to socials. You can just put a little me in the chat. I'm new. Love to welcome our new folks here. Um, and it's so nice. We have multiple weekly setups. We usually do one. Katie did the one yesterday on Saturday, then we do one on Sunday, and then we have one Monday morning. So plenty of opportunities for you to join in, get that journal all set up. And I loved, we had quite a few people in the chat, I noticed, saying they were the lightly deranged sock puppets. I kind of feel that way a little bit, but I'm working on becoming a caffeinated gnome here with my coffee. I saw a few magical rodents, a few happy trash cans. Luckily, I didn't see any stinky wedges of cheese, but it's a nice thing about webinars. We would never know. So, thanks for indulging me with that fun little which absurdly specific vibe are you today from the Cozy Nerdy Things Instagram. And I always recommend to folks, find fun things on Instagram to follow, because when you do, you will start to get more. The algorithm will feed you more, and there are a lot of fun things out there. So helping get rid of the negative parts of social media and bringing in more of the fun. So just a few little community guidelines. Oh, I also wanted to mention, make sure you set that chat, that little blue box. You can see that over here in the left-hand corner, to everyone. If you don't set it to everyone, then it will only go to myself and my fabulous co-host that is with me today, Bailey. She is coming to us from Tennessee, and it's fine if you want to just talk to Bailey and I. That's absolutely fine. But usually you want to kind of involve the whole Sonder fam. And if you're on an iPad or an iPhone, it has an obnoxious tendency to keep flipping back. Even when you set it to everyone and you type something, then it will automatically revert back to the host and panelist. So just know that you have to kind of keep changing that as you go forward. Also, some community guidelines. We just want to make sure that you're kind and courteous both to yourself and others. No promotions or spam in the chat. We respect everyone's privacy here. So what happens in our Sonder Social and what we talk about here in our Sonder Socials stays here. No hate speech or bullying. We limit those repetitive product and accessory questions. That's fine to ask some questions about stickers and pins that don't bleed through, that kind of thing. But really the best place to ask those is in the Sonder Club app, because then folks can put in links and pictures and all those kinds of things. And then any of those customer care inquiries, like you need to update your shipping address, you need to update your billing information, you need to check on shipping, you haven't gotten your, haven't gotten a journal yet. All of those go to hello@silkandsonder.com. Bailey and I do not have access to your account, so we can't look anything up for you or fix anything while we're here. So all those go to hello@silkandsonder.com. Just know they're a Monday through Friday, kind of 9 to 5 Pacific Coast group of folks. So sometimes it does take a little bit for them to get back. So your patience is greatly appreciated. And then ultimately remember that these socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community. And we have such a fabulous, supportive, wonderful, lovely, creative community here, and all of that in the chat. But ultimately, you're responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if there's ever anything that's not quite hitting right, you're not quite in the mood to work on some of these things, feel free to do what you need to do. Honestly, this is your hour to do what you need. So you do what you need. There's no right or wrong way to be in a social, no right or wrong way to use your journal. It really is for you. So if what we're working on isn't your jam, you can work on something else. If the music I'm playing isn't your jam, you can mute that. If my voice isn't your jam, you can mute me. We have closed captioning enabled, so you can still follow along. It's your hour, right? So I want you to make sure that you are using it as you need to use it. Sometimes folks will hang out in the chat and chat with their Sonder fam and just maybe make some notes about what they're going to do with the setup. Absolutely fine. Some folks are kind of nose in journal, constantly focused on the journal, ignoring the chat. Some people do a mix of both. Again, do what you need to do. If the chat gets annoying, you can usually kind of close that out. Sometimes that's a little distracting. We usually have over of 100 people here, so sometimes it can get rolling really fast and be a little So again, do what you need to do for where you are today, right? So this month's theme is alignment, and I think it's a good theme, I think, for the first of the year, really kind of thinking about how we're aligned. And I know for some folks, maybe it hasn't been a super resonating theme, or they haven't really been quite sure kind of like how it works with themselves, because when I think of alignment, I think of my car, right? You need to get your car aligned. If your car's not aligned, there's problems, right? And this quote from Brian Tracy, who is the author of the Eat the Frog book, if you haven't read that, that's a good one. But it says, just as your car runs more smoothly and requires less energy to go faster and farther when the wheels are in perfect alignment, you perform better when your thoughts, feelings, emotions, goals, and values are in balance, right? So really thinking about that. And I went ahead and made just kind of like a little kind of comparison T-chart between kind of the two, the car and us. And remember, alignment isn't about being perfect. It's about ensuring your internal components, which are your values, your beliefs, and your actions, are pointed in the same direction as your intended path. And so we know a lot about vehicle alignment, right? You want to make sure that your tires are aligned, because if it's not, your car is pulling to one side. You have to work harder to keep it straight on the road. Your tires get worn out unevenly, and you have to replace those more often. You get crummy gas mileage. And that usually happens. You can get suspension damage when you hit potholes or curbs. Your car sometimes can vibrate really fast if you're trying to go fast. And the nice thing about the car is they can put it up on a rack, and then they can see kind of what the issue is right away. The technician uses lasers and sensors, finds out what the problem is, and can fix it. Well, with us humans thinking about alignment, that struggle is that constant sense of forcing your life. If you really feel like you're forcing things, if you really feel like every day is an uphill battle against your own gut, against your own intuition, maybe you have some imbalance. You're excelling in one area, like doing really well in work, but another area like health or family is being neglected, and you're wearing thin, like that tire that gets the uneven wear, right? Maybe you get burnout. Maybe you're exhausted by 2 p.m. because you're burning mental energy fighting those internal conflicts and friction. Life traumas can certainly like loss, failure, major transitions can knock us off our axis, get us unaligned there. Stress under pressure. Maybe you can manage a quiet life, but you feel like you're falling apart the moment your responsibilities increase. And then how do we diagnose that? How do we figure out when we're out of alignment? Oftentimes we can feel it, but you can use some tools like our inventory on page 15. And we did a social on that. And if you didn't have a chance to attend that, we do have the recordings on our YouTube channel, and Bailey will put that link in there as well. Or maybe use our life coach to help identify where your actions are deviating from your values, right? So it's that kind of like, you say that you want to save money, but then you are doing a lot of impulse shopping on Instagram, right? You see stuff and you're buying things. And then so you're out of alignment, right? You say one thing, your actions are out of alignment. So this month really is about that idea of getting yourself aligned with what you want to be, and so you can get to your goal, right? Have better energy, better feelings, not feeling that sense of imbalance, those kinds of things. So for today, we are going to do the weekly setups. We do a little mind map to help us dig into the theme. So we're going to do a little alignment mind map. We're going to work on our rosebud thorn that's on page 36. And then we're going to work on those weekly setup pages. And if you've been with me for a while, you know I always use these two little cartoons to illustrate a couple of points. The first one says, there's room for you here just as you are. If things are going great, You want to share successes. You want to share happy things. We love to celebrate with our Sonder fam. And we know that life isn't always that series of ups, right? When we get to our rosebud thorn, I'll tell you my particular ups and downs this last week. But you can share those, right? And don't feel like, oh, I don't want to be too negative. I don't want to be a downer, right? Sharing those things and having folks empathize with you. Sometimes just having somebody else says, oh, saying, oh, me too. I totally get it is super helpful. And then the other thing is the way you feel matters, and no emotion you feel is bad or unworthy, right? Sometimes people will say, oh, you shouldn't be mad about that, or oh, you should be happy for this, or should be glad for this. And nobody can really tell us how we feel. Our emotions just are how they are, and we're here to share all of that here in our socials. So glad to see folks kind of resonating with that idea. And so then for our alignment mind map, this is on a blank page. This isn't printed anywhere in your journal, right? So as we move into January, and we are moving in, right? Today's already the 11th. We're centering ourselves around that powerful theme of alignment. And after that busy energy of the holidays, January is our chance really to pause and ensure that our habits, rituals, and daily routines are truly serving the person we want to become in 2026. We aren't just looking for vague resolutions. We're looking for that glow up that happens when our outside actions match our inside truth. And that really is what alignment is all about. So you can see last week's was core connection over on the left-hand side. If you didn't get a chance to that and you want to do that and you want to catch up, you're welcome to. You don't have to, right? You can start right away with week 2, which is habit harmony. So we're going to think about our current morning or evening or both rituals. If you are perfectly aligned with your 2026 goals, what is one small scraper action? Think about ice scrapers, right? That you could take this week to clear away the ice of old, unhelpful habits. So think about you've got that windshield full of ice, and you want to scrape away the ice, scrape away those unhelpful habits. So that's what we're going to think about. So again, there's the prompt right up there in the left-hand side. So you can see this is actually Jen O's weekly setup page. So she just went to page 60, did a little diagonal X and put some things in there. And then she has her daily schedule, the things that she does that are aligned with her true self, and then the things that she's doing that are maybe out of alignment that she needs to work on. Right. And so you can see like there's also a nice little, she has like a good night. She has a little nighttime routine down there and has the phone down by 10:30, right? How many of us keep scrolling when we know we should be going to sleep, right? So kind of thinking about that. So again, blank journal page, scratch pad, sticky notes, quote page on page 38. And then I think this is a really good quote that says, a lot of the conflict you have in your life exists simply because you're not living in alignment. You're not being true to yourself. So let's think about those morning and evening rituals. What do we do that is aligned with where we want to be? And what are we doing that maybe isn't aligned that we can scrape away like the ice on the windshield and then move forward? So I'm going to play a little bit of music, then we will check back in and keep moving on. All right. Thank you all for sharing in the chat, really thinking about those current morning and evening rituals, thinking about what are aligned and what are not. And really, I know a lot of folks talk about like, I need to get better sleep. That definitely is something that medical science has said sleep, sleep, sleep is so very important. Having that good solid sleep between 7 and 8 hours. And but we'll catch ourselves, right? Scrolling, just one more reel, just one more scroll. And the bad thing is, your apps are actually designed to do that, right? They're designed to kick in that dopamine, that short cycle dopamine that makes your brain go more, more, more. Keep doing it, keep doing it. So you really have to physically make yourself stop. And one of the things I always suggest to folks is to set your phone to go to grayscale at a particular time. It makes it much less desirable. It does not feed the dopamine like the pretty color pictures do, and can be super helpful. You can also set time limits on social media apps where you only spend a certain amount of time and then your phone just won't let you open it anymore until the next day. So really being very intentional about how you're setting that up, making sure that you get that sleep, making sure you're aligned with that goal of wanting to get more sleep, wanting to, if you're wanting to eat more healthy, making sure that you kind of get rid of the stuff in your cupboards that are going to be triggering those chips and cookies and those kinds of things, right? Filling it up with things that are a little better for you, have a little more nutrition going on there, that, or that you won't get carried away with, right? Like I don't think I've ever overeaten broccoli. So, you know, kind of thinking about those kinds of things as you're getting rid of those old unhelpful habits, right? And sometimes they're a habit that maybe served you at some point, but you still, it doesn't serve you anymore, right? So it's okay to let it go. So hopefully that was helpful. And again, this is something that's good. Maybe look at this throughout the week in the mornings when you're doing your morning routine, or in the evenings when you're doing your evening routine, and seeing maybe what you need to subtract or add in there to help feel a little bit better. So let's move on to our rosebud thorn. This is in your journal on page 36. So we do this always at the end of the week, just kind of thinking about our week, kind of what happened. I always tell people, if you can't quite remember what all happened during the week, you can always scroll back through your photo reel, right? Scroll back through those photos to see what happened, or look at your calendar. So a thorn is something maybe that's challenging or stressful, something maybe you want some support with, something that is maybe out of your control. I do like to start with the thorn because I like to start with the challenge first and then get to the highlight. So my challenge, Wednesday, my husband had to go to urgent care. He was having really bad pains. They told him it was heartburn, sent him home. Thursday, it got really, really bad. We went to the ER, and I thought maybe it was kidney stones, but no, it was his appendix is super inflamed and really bad. And so he had to be admitted. He's on a ton of antibiotics. He's still there. They were maybe going to let him out yesterday, but they decided not to. I'm not sure if they're going to let him out today. But that has definitely been something that was not on my 2026 bingo card. right? I was not planning, we were not planning for appendicitis. So hopefully, it's going to get taken care of. He is going to have surgery, but apparently now the new procedure is that they wait. If it's not ruptured, which it's not, um, they will give you tons of antibiotics for a couple weeks and then wait a couple more weeks and then do the surgery after it's calmed down, which is kind of interesting. So I don't know. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that definitely was a stressor. Yeah, I thought it was really weird that they want to wait to do the surgery. But I had my sister, who's a nurse, check in with her surgeon friends, and they were like, yeah, that kind of is the new protocol if it's not ruptured, because I guess when um, they want to wait until a lot of the infection is gone before they do surgery, because a lot of times they cut and will spread the infection when they go in to get it. Yeah, there's a lot of data about that. So I'm like, well, we'll see how that goes. But he's in the hospital under great care. The hospital's been great. So yeah, but just not something that I was expecting, and definitely a challenge. But then we have our bud, which is something that we're looking forward to, something giving us hope, motivation, and inspiration. So after this social, I am going with my friend. We had scheduled a private sewing lesson to finish our quilts that we had started many years ago. Mine I started a long time ago, and it's a little one, but I was taking a class and then never followed through. So I think that will be super fun. So our bud is that thing that's fun, something we're looking forward to. And then our rose is that highlight, something that we're grateful for, something positive in our lives. And so this week, my nephew and his lovely wife had their first baby, a little boy, Austin. And he is super healthy. Those are his little feets. I love baby feets. So that's exciting. So that's my second great nephew. I have a great niece as well, so that's super exciting. It's funny, he was the first baby that I actually knitted a blanket for when I first learned how to knit, and now I knitted a blanket for his baby, so that's super fun. Yeah, baby feet, cat feet, right? All those fun little things, super super fun. So let us know your rose, your bud, your thorn in the chat if you would like. I'll play a little song and then we'll check back in and keep moving on. All right. Thank you all for sharing in the chat. I see lots of rosebuds and thorns. And I think the great thing about this activity is that it does remind us, even though there's something crummy that maybe happened this week, hanging out in the hospital for the last 3 days has not been super fun. But there are good things. There are those roses. My little great nephew being born, having that sewing class coming up. I see folks getting to go. See authors speaking, getting to spend time with their friends, just different spending time with relatives. um, Made it through Carla made it through a no spend week. That's awesome. That's hard to do, right? So it's just so nice to see sometimes that balance. And every once in a while the exact same thing will be the rose, the bud, and the thorn, right? And so that's always kind of interesting to see when this happens. So thank you all for spending some just a little bit of time reflecting, because I think that is so important, instead of just rushing through our weeks, right, and kind of forgetting things. And this is also really good to look back on when you do the next month, is that when you do the next month, when you look back at the whole month, you can look back at these rosebud thorns and get some ideas of how your month went, right? So let's dive into our weekly planner. And we are going to work on page 40 and 41. And I know some folks have mentioned, especially some of the newer folks, really kind of thinking about those pages 42, 43, like the daily pages. I will let you know that Jen O, when she does I peeked at her slides for tomorrow, she's going to have some examples of those. So if you don't get a chance to go tomorrow morning, I highly recommend getting the recording when that gets posted on YouTube, so you can take a look at that, so you can kind of see how people are using that. And then also just kind of keep looking through the app, through the Sonder Club app, to see how folks are using those daily pages, right? To kind of see what kinds of things folks are tracking. So the first thing that we are going to tackle is our This Week I Want to Feel. And is really, to me, it's like that setting an intention. How do you want to show up for yourself and others throughout this next week? So lots of different ideas for things to do here. It can be just one word. It can be several words. It can be a phrase. It can be a mantra. You can just put a sticker in if that's where you are right now. Draw a little picture, a little doodle. Maybe it's something you want to focus on this week. Maybe it's a quote that you really, really like that resonates. Maybe it's your word of the year. I know a lot of folks like to do the word of the year. So lots of different ideas there for you to pop something in with those feelings. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about the weekly major 3 goals, because I think those kind of tie in a lot of times to that feeling. So if you want, you can share your word that you're going to, or how you want to feel. But I also do want to talk a little bit about those major 3 goals, because sometimes when you set those 3 goals, achieving those goals will help you feel that feeling. So you can kind of look at it from that angle. And I liked this quote that said, by aligning decisions with your values, your path will gain clarity instead of confusion. Reflect on choices that bring you closer to your goal. So here's some examples of things that folks have done with their weekly major 3 goals. So sometimes people divide it up into work, body, and mind. Sometimes people we love a good bingo here. So people will make this into a bingo. So it's not so much, it might reflect 3 goals, but they're little activities that will focus into that. So we've got some an unplug bingo. We've got some just different kinds of things that they have on their bingo. Maybe it's like eat healthy, exercise, sleep. Those are some good things. Me, home, and work. I like the person who has the left brain, right brain, and no brain goals, right? So they have a left brain idea of pleasure reading, a right brain drawing, taking chances, and then a no brain is staying positive. So kind of thinking of those pieces. I also did pop in from Silk and Saunders Instagram page, easy New Year habits for mind, body, and soul. So there's some mind, body, and soul goals that you could use. I mean, I know they're habits, but maybe your goal is doing something for your mind, your body, and your soul. And if you don't necessarily, if goals aren't your jam, maybe you want to do 3 new words. Maybe you want to do movies or TV shows. Maybe you want to do a playlist for the week. Maybe you want to do three fun activities for yourself, different things like that, right? So I will let you work on this. I'll just kind of cycle through these slides so you can see that. Feel free to share how you want to feel this week and then your weekly major three goals or what you're doing with that section. And then we'll check back in here in just a few moments. Hey, so I saw some folks with some different ideas for how they want to feel this week. A lot of folks really leaning in on that word of the year, or some folks still really focused on the North Star. There was a daily ritual, I think, last month that talked about finding your North Star. And I think that's a nice way to kind of think about using that kind of as your guiding principle, excuse me, for the year and how you want to move forward. So hopefully you've got some ideas there for kind of what you want to pop in there. Some folks are talking about wanting to feel centered, wanting to feel more aligned. Their words vitality, so feeling that. I was trying to think intentional. I like that idea. Prepared is a good one. Um, Lots of really great ideas. And Bailey did pop a link in there for the Silk and Saunders 2026 Word of the Year quiz. If you haven't had a chance to take that and you're like not sure what you want your word of the year to be, I'll be honest, a lot of times I try to set a word of the year and then it kind of floats away, and I'm not super focused on it. So right now I've been kind of going back and forth between either the word delicious or the word creative. So I'm not sure, maybe two words. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. And then usually I kind of revisit it again later. So let's look at our to-dos and our habits and activities, or as I said one time when I was talking too fast, I call them the habities, and that kind of stuck. I thought this was a cute little ladybug drawing, and it says, "Let little joys find you." And so I love that idea. So some different things you can do with that to do section, right? Some people like to use the Eisenhower matrix, where you take your tasks that you have and then you put them into one of the quadrants, right? So either the important and urgent quadrant of doing things that maybe aren't important, but they're urgent. So sometimes there are things like busy work, they need to be done, but not necessarily by you, so you can delegate those. Things are important, but they're not urgent, so you can decide how you want to schedule those. And then things that are not important and not urgent, things, then you can potentially delete them or maybe delay them, or decide, right, how you want to do that. So you can see kind of some examples of that. Some people set up their weekly to-dos, things for themselves, things that they need to do for their home, things for their work. Some people I really like the Pomodoro technique. If you haven't used that to tackle some tasks that you have, super helpful. So you pick a task that you're working on, then you set your timer for 25 minutes and you just work on that task for 25 minutes. Then the alarm will go off, excuse me, and then you take a 5-minute break, then you go back and do it again. So every 4 Pomodoros, the 25 and the 5 minutes, so the 30 minutes, 4 Pomodoros, and then you can take a longer 15 to 30 minute break. And that has been so helpful for me staying focused. So I think that's something that can be really helpful as you're trying to get things done. Excuse me. Maybe you have some now and later things that you want to work on. Excuse me. Maybe you have some things you want to do for work and home, things that you need and things that you want, things that you're doing for school, things that you're doing for personal, an AM and a PM. Maybe you want to set up your rituals here, to-dos versus to-dos. And I always see to-dos as, have you ever noticed like you'll do a lot of things, but they weren't actually on your list, but then you're like, okay, I did a lot of things, but I didn't actually have those written down. So a lot of times I will write them in after I've already done them and then just check them off because that feels really good because I'm like, oh, I actually got something done. Here's some other examples, some to-don't lists. So maybe it's things you don't want to do. You could make again, bingo, love doing the little bingo board. Maybe you don't want to work on to-dos, you want to be. So you want to be grounded, compassionate, reflective, active, delighted. Maybe here's some weekday self-care ideas and like the time that's plugged in there. So if you only have 2 minutes, maybe you're going to practice some breathing. 3 minutes, you're going to savor a delicious treat. 5 minutes, you're going to brain dump any worries. 10 minutes, you're going to go outside for a little walk. Even if you only have 60 seconds, squeezing in a little hand massage, maybe closing your eyes and just breathing for 60 seconds, kind of plugging those things in there. And then those habits and activities or habities. I was talking to Bailey. I keep getting these they're different pictures, but with the same idea about the herkeldurkel, which is a Scottish term for lazing in bed long after it's time to get up. Happiness is herkeldurkeling. And Bailey says she loves to herkeldurkel and she's going to embrace that as part of her. She has some Scottish heritage. I do as well. But I'll be honest, I don't really like to stay in bed. Like I don't like to eat in bed. I don't like to drink coffee in bed. When I'm up, I want to get up. But I will herkeldurkel in my chair with a cozy blanket. I think that just is, the bed is just not, I don't know. I don't want to stay. I love going to sleep. I love going to bed. But yeah, Bailey was talking about she'll get up and do all the things and then get back into bed. And that's just not, no, I'm up. Like it's, yeah. So anyway, but for those of you who like it, I think maybe a habit or activity would be herkeldurkeling. So here's some examples of things that folks have done. I like the just say no. So they have a list of no things that they want to do. So maybe it's like deleting some emails, decluttering, no sugar, throwing away expired food, no social media. I feel like I probably have some expired food in the fridge now that hubby's been in the hospital since Thursday. Maybe you want to unplug or go to the gym. Maybe you want to read before bed. And those little numbers are how many times you want to do it that week, right? And then I really like the one in the bottom right where they say nope, like they're not going to worry about the habits and activities. And some people will say, how is this different from the monthly habit tracker that we have, that wheel? These are really things that are specific to the week, maybe that you're trying out as a habit. Maybe you only want to do it a couple times this week. So the monthly tracker really is more for habits that you want to do consistently every day. But again, it's your journal, so you do that how you want to. Here's some other examples. Like one person just wrote hydrate, and that's all they did, right? That was their whole thing in the habits and activities. One person did dishes, laundry, and do the daily ritual, right? Absolutely fine. And then you can see on the bottom, they have these habits or activities, and then they circled the days that they think they're going to do them, right? So I think that's kind of helpful. I like the idea of no dessert with dinner, and they are going to do that twice that week, and they're on Thursday and Saturday. So it gives them a nice frame, a nice plan. And then I also have these fun low-cost activities in January. So if you're looking for some things maybe that you want to do, again, the habits and activities. Maybe you want to do some deep cleaning. Maybe you want to do a digital declutter. Maybe you want to make that cozy corner in your home. Those kinds of things. Here's some other ideas. So Cassandra has the self-sabotaging habits to cut out. So maybe you don't want to do multitasking. You don't want to do people pleasing. And then there's also, so Cassandra had the 31 days of living in alignment. So what is today? Sunday, the 11th. Do one thing today you've been putting off, which is perfect for me because I'm going to work on that quilt that I've had sitting half done in a pile in my room for years and years. So that's kind of fun. So just some fun little ideas to finish up those to-dos, habits, and activities. The calendar was on Silk and Saunders Instagram page. So you can take a look at that. You can also do screenshots of this. So I will let you work on that and then we'll check back in. Okay, so hopefully you've got some ideas now for what to put in that to-do box or the habits and activities box. Again, remember if you've got a lot of other stuff going on this week, put in some stickers there, right? Put in some, do some doodles, right? You don't have to fill in every single line on the habits and activities, and you don't have to fill in every single little box with something, right? It's really kind of what works for you as you're going through your week. And each week is a little bit different. I don't know what this week is going to be like because I don't know if my husband's going to come home from the hospital today or not. So we'll see how that goes. Um, let's go over to page 41. As our fabulous facilitator, Katie likes to call this the B side, right? And this is kind of that. Sometimes we use a lot of the pieces here, sometimes we don't. We've got a meal plan, we've got a mind body health plan, we've got a shopping list, and we have a little I am loving box. And I'm going to go through all of these just so that you can kind of see some of the different things. I saw some folks kind of talking about some book clubs and doing that kind of thing. I will tell you, I have been exploring, possibly, maybe, don't hold me to this, doing like a little Silk and Sonder book club in the Fable app. I don't know if anybody has that. I'm in another book club and they just switched over to Fable, and it's kind of cool. Way you can kind of set that up. Oh, Lisa uses Fable. Nice. So if I do, I will let you know. It probably won't be an official Silk and Sonder thing, kind of like my unofficial Silk and Sonder pen pal thing, but I will tell you about it. And it's because I do enjoy talking about books that I'm reading with other folks. So it is kind of fun. So I will let you know. Um, our meal plan, right? Lots of different ways we can do this. We can obviously plan our meals. We can obviously track our meals. A lot of times folks like to track this for to kind of help if they have any symptoms like some tummy troubles or migraines, those kinds of things. So kind of tracking that to see what that looks like. So again, lots of different ways to, I think this is probably one of the most repurposed areas. So lots of things you could have a one good thing for each day and draw a little picture. We've got a to-do list. We've got we could do affirmations. We can do a packing list if we're going on a trip. We can do our wardrobe planner. We can do an alignment check-in. I thought that might be kind of good. Maybe you want to check in and see how did my actions align with my goals and what I was saying and what I wanted to work on. So lots of different ways to use this. Here's some others. They have meal plan for my soul, and they have little questions that they're asking, like, what are 3 things I'm grateful for right now? Who are 3 people that I'm grateful for right now? Kind of a fun little way to do that. Daily to-do lists, appointments that they have, different things that they're doing. The national day of, if you Google like national day of, it'll give you like the calendar. So you can see this one, like Monday had multiple things like National Cough Drop Day. I don't know if I want to observe that one, but I could observe the National Apple Pie Day or Crouton Day or Frog Jumping Day, right? So I thought that was kind of fun. They had different things that maybe you want to observe, right, on some of those. Then our mind body health plan. I'm going to go over all of these, so just kind of work on them as you see fit, and feel free to share in the chat. Megan is saying that she decided to do daily meal plan themes to try to make meal planning more fun. So having like a meatless Monday, Taco Tuesday. Yes, we usually do Taco Tuesdays. Then I don't know what the WTFIW is. That like, is there a naughty word in there for the F? For Wednesday, thrifty Thursdays for leftovers, fun Friday, new recipes, solo Saturday, dinner out with friends, soup Sunday. Oh, I love, this is a great time for different fun kinds of soup. So, breakfast Wednesday. I like that. Oh, whatever the F I want. Okay, got it. Thank you, Annalisa. I figured there was a naughty word in there, but that's okay. So our mind body health plan, right? Thinking of different things that we want to do for our mind and our body. So here's another one that has like Motivation Monday, Talk It Out Tuesday, Walking Wednesday, Thoughtful Thursday, Frustration Free Friday, Sassy Saturday, Self-Care Sunday, things that they feel, things that they need. I like the little puzzle pieces. I thrive when all the pieces come together. And so they have different little things like being hydrated, practicing gratitude. And then I like this one. They're going to observe, observe things, but zero absorb. Observe versus absorb the things, the feelings, the activities. So I like that. Unplugging for an hour, or a highlight of the day, right? Something that was happy, was fun. Maybe it's your rose of the day. You can track that in that mind body health plan. And then our shopping list, again, some fun bingos, some daily rituals that they have, some self-care things, quotes, that morning routine, that bedtime routine, a prayer list, doodles and drawings, tracking different kinds of caretaking. And then the I am loving is just for something that you're really enjoying, something that's really fun. I enjoyed this little January 2026 thing where they have creating, resting, nature study, and reflecting. So I love that idea. Oh, and then Suzanne says we used to have YOYO days, the yo-yo days. You're on your own. I like that. Yeah, we do that sometimes too, where it's like on own, right? Because it's other too much going on to try to coordinate a dinner time. So love those ideas. So I will let you work on those for a few minutes. Please feel free to let us know if how you're going to repurpose or how you're going to use any of these little sections. And then we'll check back in and we'll wrap things up. Okay, Thank you all for sharing in the chat the different ways that you're using this. I did want to mention, because I know some folks were talking about the Pen Pal, Silk and Sonder Pen Pal. So that's just something I'm doing. That's not a Silk and Sonder sponsored. Headquarters doesn't have any of that stuff. I'm doing it. So I think Bailey popped in the sign up link that's on there. You sign up, and I noticed a lot of people, I think, signed up yesterday, so I need to go in there. It's just me, it's not automated or anything, so I have to go in there and get the list of folks, and I'll send you an email to the email that you put in the form. So make sure if you have a Gmail account, that's the best one to use, your Gmail email, because then I'll send you a link. It's to a Google Doc. And then you can open that up and you can see the list of people. There's a lot of people on there. You're under no obligation to send any cards or anything like that. There's no rules. It certainly is open to the UK. Just know that I'm not 100% sure if there's folks that are in the US, if they want to spend the extra for the postage, or if you want to spend the extra for the postage to send to the US. But everyone, you can totally sign up, and then you just get the list of everyone on there. So just know you have to be comfortable with having your address on a list with lots of folks on there. And if you ever want to be removed from it, you can send me an email and let me know. So if you sign up for that, you will get an email. I'll try to do that later today to get that sent out to everyone. So, and yes, Corey, just send me an email or fill out the form again and I can update it. No worries. So, thank you all for joining us. It is always the fastest hour. I don't know how this hour goes by so quickly, but I really appreciate you all being here, working on this week, sharing how you're doing things. If you share that weekly planner in a Sonder Club, we you can see that's where we got. These are all real life examples that we use. So if you feel comfortable sharing your pages, we love to see those as well. I did also want to mention really quickly that Meha is doing the exclusive event on January 15th. So that's coming up this Thursday. There is a small fee for this one. But it looks very fun. New year, real you, your 2026 glow up. So lots of good conversations there. And yes, Bailey will pop in the YouTube link so you can go and find the old socials, all those different fun things. So lots of fun things going on. I hope everyone has a fabulous Sunday, a fabulous rest of the week. Thank you for all your well wishes for hubby. We will find out more about what's going on with him, I'm sure, later today. And again, thank you all for joining, and I hope to see you all again very soon. Thank you.